Nevada, Morning Edition.
World leaders and financial markets are reacting to President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs. What this all could mean for American shoppers and businesses.
Plus, Governor Joe Lombardo's housing bill gets its first hearing, but not everyone is on board.
The temperature dial is set on chilly today with highs in the 50s and mostly a dry forecast today, but not entirely. All the details coming up.
Good Thursday morning, and thank you for starting your day with us. I'm Kyle Lauder.
And I'm Faith Justice. So glad to be with you.
So President Donald Trump's new reciprocal tariffs against more than 60 countries sent markets tumbling this morning in Asia.
Economists say the move will likely drive up prices on imported goods like electronics, cars, wine, and clothing here in the U.S. CBS News' Jared Hill has more on the president's announcement and the worldwide reaction, reporting from New York.
Today, countries around the world are threatening to retaliate after President Donald Trump laid out his long-awaited tariffs.
It's our declaration of economic independence.
The plan, a 10% tax on nearly all goods brought into the U.S. starting April 5th. On April 9th, additional reciprocal tariffs on more than 60 countries President Trump dubbed the worst offenders. That's 34% on China, 20% for the European Union, likely meaning Americans pay higher prices for electronics, clothing, construction equipment. Canada and Mexico are exempt, instead facing tariffs linked to fighting the flow of undocumented immigrants and illegal drugs. All of this as the president's 25% tariffs on foreign cars and auto parts kicked in overnight.
If you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product right here in America.
Impacted countries are calling on the U.S. to reconsider.
We're now preparing for further countermeasures to protect our interests and our businesses if negotiations fail.
Many American small businesses are also bracing for impact.
We're looking at a huge increase in costs that we will have to figure out how to absorb.
On Capitol Hill, criticism from both sides.
These tariffs are a disaster for the average American family.
I don't think it's going to be good for us politically, but it's not good for the country either.
Kentucky's Rand Paul, one of 4 Senate Republicans to join Democrats in backing a long-shot bill to undo tariffs against Canada. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Now, that resolution blocking tariffs on Canada is not expected to move forward in the U.S. House of Representatives. There are some other countries, though, that were not included in President Trump's reciprocal tariffs. That includes Russia, Cuba, and North Korea. A White House official tells CBS News that's because these countries already face strong economic sanctions from the U.S.
Moving to the Nevada legislature now, Governor Joe Lombardo's first bill of this session focused on housing solutions, and it had its first committee hearing yesterday. The bill is part of Governor Lombardo's plan for the Nevada Attainable Housing Act. Essentially, it's trying to gather attainable housing funding that would be stored in a specific account to be distributed by a new Nevada Attainable Housing Council.
How are we addressing it? We're intending to put a $200 million tranche into the act. You know, part of it is a council that's going to manage the $200, and it's going to go across 6 separate pieces of legislation to ensure that we're hitting every community.
After the initial presentation by the governor and others supporting the bill, there was a Q&A session with Assembly lawmakers.
May not be the intent, but it was every person that presented talked about asking construction workers to work for poverty wages.
There are some provisions to exempt, but there's also ability to receive prevailing wage. It's a matter of level of bid price.
Democrats have the majority in both the Assembly and the Senate, so the bill's fate lies in their hands. The governor says he's hoping to work across the aisle. Those for the bill say they heard the committee's concerns and will work to address those before the next hearing.
And the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor heard a bill that could require that employers offer more family leave here in Nevada. Assembly Bill 388 would expand the amount of paid family medical leave offered by employers from 8 weeks to 12 weeks for employers who have 50 or more employees, along with government employees. Advocates say that makes up about 4% of Nevada businesses and would include about 1 million workers.
And heads up here, the deadline to get your real ID is coming up on May 7th. We spoke with the DMV about what Nevadans can expect if they still need to make this change happen.
The easiest way to apply for a Real ID is to go to getrealnevada.com, and then it's an interactive website, and you can actually make an appointment through there. And if you have only a small amount of time, we actually open up our appointments on Wednesday, and you can book the appointment on Tuesdays.
Once your application is complete and submitted with the required forms, including your birth certificate, proof of citizenship, or Social Security, your Real ID will be mailed out within 2 weeks.
And the Reno-Tahoe Airport starting a new parking reservation system next week. According to the airport, the new system will help flyers reserve a parking spot ahead of time. Starting on Monday, the daily rate for spots in the long-term garage will go from $16 to $22. Daily rates for long-term surface parking will go from $12 to $18. Parking in these areas before 11:59 on Sunday will still cost current prices.